3rd of October 2017, Sebastian Vettels' gearbox is fine following his incident with Lance Stroll in Malaysia. Ferrari has confirmed to jeepupdate.net, meaning he will avoid a grid penalty for this weekend's Japanese Grand Prix. Vettel, having recovered from the back of the grid to fourth, after an engine failure in qualifying, clashed with Williams rookie Stroll on the cool-down lap at Sepang. As the pair exited turn 4, Vettel went to the right-hand side of the track to pick up some rubber, with Stroll on the inside, also moving across, which resulted in contact. At turn 5, Vettel's car jumped into the air, with significant damage inflicted on the rear left corner, forcing him to pull over, as Stroll returned to the pit lane at slow speed. "Stroll is not looking where is going, he completely shunted into my car," Vettel shouted over the radio, before getting a lift back to the pits on the side of Pascal where lines Sauber. Vettel initially feared that his gearbox would need to be replaced, due to the rear-end damage, with the unit sent back to Ferrari's factory in Maranello for a full investigation. However, following the checks, a Ferrari spokesperson explained to jeepupdate.net that the gearbox is fine, thus ruling out a 5-place grid drop for an early change. Under current F1 regulations, drivers must use a gearbox for 6 consecutive events, though are permitted to run a new unit if they retire from the preceding race. Latest news 1732 F1 1712 McLaren's Stoffel Vandoorne has described his back-to-back 7th-place finishes in Singapore and Malaysia as a real boost. F1 1652 Formula 1 drivers and teams have arrived in Japan to tackle this weekend's event at Suzuka. jeepupdate.net provides a compilation. F1 1632 Suzuka joined the Formula 1 calendar in 1987 and has since become one of the sport's most revered circuits, dropping off the F1 1542 Penske has confirmed that Helio Castroneves will switch to sports car competition in 2018, bringing down the curtain on his Indy 1529. Andretti has announced that Stefan Wilson will race its 5th car at next year's running of the Indianapolis 500. Wilson will. Indy 1452 reigning Formula 1 world champion Nico Rosberg will join Sky Sports to act as a pundit for this weekend's Japanese Grand F1 1428 Formula 1 will be broadcast on ESPN in the United States from 2018, the corporation confirmed on Wednesday, after signing a F1 1328. Red Bull's Max Verstappen discusses overtaking and winning in Formula 1, fresh from his victory at the Malaysian Grand Prix. In F1 1232 Haas team principal Günther Steiner is optimistic that Formula 1 has now visited the squad's worst circuits and can target a F1 1104. Ferrari-backed Formula 2 title leader Charles Leclerc visits the Prema factory ahead of this weekend's standalone round of the F2 1008. Renault technical director Bob Bell labeled the Malaysian Grand Prix as a wake-up call after a subdued display by the F1 0916 Formula 1 brake supplier Brembo looks at the requirements for the Casio Triangle, the hardest braking point at the Suzuka. F1 0842 Fernando Alonso says he is hoping to turn our fortunes around in Japan after a challenging string of events, culminating in F1 0742 Suzuka as the destination as Formula 1 moves directly from Malaysia to Japan in another intense back-to-back sequence. F1 0532 Formula E runs through the major talking points as the Electric Series returns to action for pre-season testing at the FA 1803. Sebastian Vettel's gearbox is fine following his incident with Lance Stroll in Malaysia, Ferrari has confirmed too. F1 1642 Formula 1 tire supplier Pirelli has predicted truly impressive G-force loadings at the Japanese Grand Prix, given 2017's F1 1619. Alex Palou will replace Robert Visau at Campos Racing for the final 2 rounds of the Formula 2 season at Jerez, Spain, and F2 1502 go behind the scenes with Mercedes drivers Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas over the course of the 19th and final Malaysian F1 1400. Ferrari will introduce different standards after both of its cars suffered engine failures at the Malaysian Grand Prix, says F1 1330. Mercedes boss Toto Wolff says that helping Valtteri Bottas return to form has become a priority for the squad, following his F1 1223. Red Bull driver Max Verstappen provides an update as he arrives in Japan after claiming his 2nd Formula 1 victory at the F1 1127 Toro Rosso team boss Franz Tost has praised Pierre Gasly for a fantastic Formula 1 debut, and expects him to make further F1 1023 F1 1011 Mercedes gathered team members from around its factory in the world to say thank you to Malaysia after 19 years on the F1 1002. Max Verstappen sealed his first victory of the campaign, while Lewis Hamilton extended his title advantage over Sebastian. F1 0734 Lewis Hamilton holds a 34-point championship advantage with just 5 events remaining, but nothing is certain amid Mercedes' F1 0538 Red Bull's Jonathan Wheatley talks through a typical Formula One race weekend as team manager, acting as the eyes and ears of F1 1646 Toro Rosso driver Carlos Sainz Jr. believes that an electrical problem denied him a strong chance of a points finish at the F1 1604. Max Verstappen delivered an overdue first win of 2017 while Lewis Hamilton extended his title lead over the recovering Sebastian. F1 1550 Go behind the scenes with Ferrari, Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Räikkönen at the Malaysian Grand Prix. F1 1542 Mark VDS rider Jack Miller will miss the Japanese Grand Prix after fracturing his right leg in a training accident in Motorsport 1506. Haas chief Gunther Steiner reckons the team's lack of pace across one lap ruined its prospects of scoring points at the F1 1502. Rene Binder will compete for repacks at this weekend's penultimate round of the Formula 2 Championship at the Circuito de F2 1428. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner heaped praise on a truly dominant Max Verstappen in the wake of the youngsters. F1 1333 Hear from Red Bull racer Daniel Ricciardo off the back of his podium finish at the Malaysian Grand Prix, aboard his flight from F1 1329. Force India's Esteban Ocon described his Malaysian Grand Prix as a race to forget after he was caught up in two separate F1 1216 Antonio Felix da Costa will continue with MS80 Andretti in Formula E for the fourth season of the Electric Series. The FA 1129 McLaren Honda driver Stoffel Vandoorne goes head-to-head with racing director Eric Boulier in a Malaysian Grand Prix quiz. F1